Thanks for the opportunity to talk about this evaluation, and we hope it's sort of a useful example as well of a evaluation supporting initiatives with a particular focus on sort of social determinants of health and working with different policy areas. So what I'm actually going to do first is actually hand directly to Lourdes firstly, who is our partner from East Sussex, and we'll talk a little bit about the background and sort of rationale for why they put in an expression of interest to the scheme.
Thank you, Emma. Good afternoon, everybody. The Healthy Places offices in East Sussex and Southampton City Council were introduced within a year from each other. East Sussex recruited 2 Healthy Places officers in 2021, and Southampton City Council introduced an officer specialising in planning for health equally also in 2022. For those of you that are just wondering, what is the remit of the Healthy Places officers? In East Sussex and Southampton City Council, they have a specific focus on the built and natural environment. Above that is the priority and the umbrella term of using the health in all policies approach. So there's a specific interest in planning, spatial planning, or planning for health, as we call it. When we embarked on this journey in 2021, 2022, and certainly together through our expression of interest through NIHR PHIRST, we were very much at the start of our journey, as in we had just recruited to these posts. So they were very much new in their roles and identifying, how they could work effectively. And it was really a great journey that we went on with the PHIRST team to explore the changes that these roles were making. In terms of submitting the expression of interest, the application was done jointly between Southampton and East Sussex. And I have to say, I was very surprised at how non-jargony and simple it actually was. And I definitely encourage, as has been done in the earlier presentation, to submit, for this coming round as well. And we've actually done that for another project. So it was very, very simple. All in all, I'd say once we'd kind of looked at the questions and done kind of the background of what our project was, we kind of drafted an A4 piece of paper. That's kind of what it came to. But of course, it had to be very succinct, very tight in order to be competitive. So in terms of what we were doing for this particular expression of interest, we wanted to explore the effectiveness of having these roles in being able to create healthy environments. And we wanted a process evaluation to understand how these posts, these dedicated posts, contributed to capacity and capability, developing knowledge and skills across our system in regards to promoting healthy environments. Over to you, Emma.
Thanks, Lourdes. So I'll now move on to talk a little about the evaluation itself and the sorts of methods that we used for this. So firstly, we, as Lourdes has outlined, we adopted a predominantly qualitative and process evaluation, which was informed by systems thinking to understand sort of the early impacts and contributions of these roles, but also some of the barriers and challenges that the introduction of these roles faced as well. We adopted mixed methods through to more common methods such as interviews and workshops and observations, but also undertook some more innovative methods as well, such as the use of reflective diaries by the Healthy Places officers themselves. There were 3 broad areas that we focused on in terms of exploring the impact of these roles. Firstly, looking at workforce competencies related to the rollout of a planning for health agenda and healthy places, and the focus on sort of intersectoral working and relationships across policy areas within the councils and sectors more broadly. And the posts, as Lourdes has also highlighted, were at an early stage. So the focus on changes to sort of policy and plans, and ultimately changes to healthy environments and health itself, were sort of were a more longer term goal. But we focused on the kind of the initial stepping stones of the ways in which the work was happening to embed sort of health within strategies and plans in the local areas. So just if we can move on to the next slide. And then linked to that, we undertook sort of 3 case studies which were reflective of those 3 areas of work and impact. So firstly, looking at the sort of rollout of health impact assessment training in East Sussex at a county level across a range of district and borough areas. The development of a new planning for health working group, again, which was about formalising working relationships and structures across the county on this agenda. And then thirdly, the example in Southampton reflected the sort of efforts to influence change within the draft local plan development. And the focus here was on hot food takeaway policies. So all these case studies are within our briefing paper, which is on the PHIRST website. So I'll just move on to sort of highlight some of the outputs from this work. So throughout the evaluation, the evaluation team met as a group between the academics involved, the local authority partners, our public partners, also held engagement events which brought in wider stakeholders across Southampton and East Sussex. And through that process, we co-produced the evaluation and ultimately the recommendations. And some practical outputs, which I believe James referred to in his earlier slides, were sort of produced as well. So we've produced a research briefing paper, an infographic, a slide deck, which are all available online, and are now just in the final stages of an academic paper, which will be submitted to a journal, which has been involving the local authority partners as co-authors as well. So what I'll do is just hand back now to Lourdes in case you have any final reflections on your involvement and experiences and impacts of the process, Lourdes.
Thanks, Emma. As I said, I was very surprised at how easy the application process was, and that opinion has been reinstated, having gone through the process again to apply for the 24th of September deadline. But it does force you, as I say, to really think about your aims and your research question and what you're trying to achieve. The experience with working with the PHIRST team, I have to say, has been absolutely first class. I absolutely emphasise the fact that it was very much a collaborative co-production right from the start all the way through to the end, both in terms of undertaking the research, going through the journey together to guide how we want to develop the evaluation process. Even now, towards the end of the journey, writing up the final paper, the dissemination of that information as well, but even much more widely, we've gone on an experience with our PHIRST team to share this best practice. So, for example, about a month ago, we presented at the Planning for Health Network the briefing that's been worked up. We had regular meetings. The communication was absolutely excellent. So we were communicating freely in between our touch points. We met at least every sort of other week, but we also tweaked and pivoted as and when needed, and worked really, really well together. The researchers as well from PHIRST came to workshops that we were doing, engaged with partners, liaised with us where they were experiencing barriers perhaps with partners and needed things to kind of shift and move. So we worked really, really well in terms of that whole process. In terms of the benefits or the impacts, we're already seeing before the sort of final publication of our paper, huge benefits that this research has had, but also just undertaking this process. So just reflecting on how now other local authorities, such as our colleagues in Oxfordshire and Milton Keynes, I'm sure they won't mind me mentioning, are also now embarking on a similar PHIRST and IHR research evaluation around healthy environments. And for us, that's really, really exciting, because it just adds to the body of knowledge and evidence that's needed in this new research, innovative intervention kind of area. So there's 5 main outcomes that I'd like to highlight that have really benefited our local authorities in East Sussex and Southampton City Council. And one could even say much more on a national level in regards to kind of the focus of public health working in the built and natural environment area, particularly planning for health. One is that it's really helped, the first benefit and outcome is it's really helped to raise the profile of healthy places as being central to population health management. Prior to this work and prior to this evaluation, it was really unclear, I suppose, what those kind of key benefits are, how they were working, how effectively and what kind of changes they were making. So that has been really, really important. And it really has helped to highlight when we're talking about the causes of the causes, the wider determinants, often what's overlooked is the environmental determinants. And I think this research has really helped local authorities up and down the country to really hone in and focus and make environmental determinants much more of a priority. Apologies, that's one of our dogs. It's also helped to amplify the healthy environments more broadly as well. And also, you know, really kind of focus on a health in all policies approach from an environmental lens. And one could even argue that a health and environment a policies approach is needed, or as we're seeing, you know, from the UK HSA talking about climate in all policies. So that's been really, really exciting. It's also helped to raise the profile more generally around health impact assessments. Again, there has been very little research evidence and evaluation around health impact assessments. How are they being used? What are the benefits? And how are they unlocking opportunities for other policy areas other than health? And it has also helped to unlock opportunities around other priority areas within planning for health, such as hot food takeaway. So that was a particular case study that Southampton City Council focused on. In terms of the second outcome, or the second benefit, it's really benefited us here in East Sussex and Southampton City Council to become research-led organisations. And I know that my Director of Public Health, Daryl Gale, is really, really keen on East Sussex becoming a research-led organisation and finding different avenues in which to embed that. So undertaking this process has really helped do that. It's really helped us to build our confidence and capacity in research and making it a priority, but having a friendly buddy such as NIHR by our side to do that has really given us the confidence to do that. It's also exposed us to opportunities around monitoring in areas that traditionally are not monitored, like the environmental determinants. So that has been really, really helpful. And it's really great for us to, you know, not be the experts, but, you know, by participating in research in this way with our partners, to really kind of help us feel like we can be research-led, but also lead on that research equally as well. And it's really helped to share findings. So we've shared these findings with the South East Built and Natural Environment Network. Emma's presented at the Local Government Association's Health in All Policies Network. And so we are disseminating that at various avenues, including the Healthy Urban Design, International Healthy Urban Design Congress later this year in October. And through that, we've been able to come into contact with other practitioners that sometimes can be working in isolation in this area, but actually we're really building a kind of a fellowship of healthy environment professionals working in this space, and this research also has helped them in their local authorities to make the business case to help them invest in similar posts like this. So that's outcome 2. In terms of outcome 3, and the third benefit has been around collaboration and partnership. what's been really interesting is as we've gone on this journey with our research team, Southampton City Council and East Sussex have managed to, add credibility in working and leading without authority, trying to influence our own partners and stakeholders and departments within our own organisations or within our wider system. And it's really helped to strengthen wider collaboration and partnership within our system. So, we've been able to better, emphasise the importance of working together because of going on this research-led process. In terms of outcome 4, the research, as we said, was in early development, but it has really helped to build and make the case for capacity, and it's helped us develop new skills and also new ways to engage with different partners, which has been really important. And all along that journey has been this theme around the need for workforce development, not just in terms of building capacity around this agenda within public health, but we know as well that planning systems, planning colleagues, or housing, for example, they're not necessarily the most well resourced. So it's helped to also emphasise, workforce development opportunities across public health, planning, housing, and much wider. In terms of the last outcome that I'd emphasise is that it has, going back to what was said originally around why the NIHR FIRST evaluation is so important, it really has opened us the opportunity to evaluate trailblazing work. It has given us the confidence that actually we can be innovative, we can explore new interventions, and we can get them evaluated and monitored. Because sometimes, you think when you go on this journey around evaluation, you've got to have something absolutely grounded. But actually, the process evaluation really showed us that we can do this in a new space and as we're going on the journey. So that's been really, really great. And it's helped us, to help emphasise, national best practice and capability. And I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lourdes, for those reflections. So I'll just end with a sort of a final slide with our contact details, both myself, Lourdes, and also Becky Wilson at Southampton and my colleague Emma Coombs at Liverpool. And I understand the slides will be shared. So if you're particularly interested in this evaluation, do feel free to get in touch with us both.